Say again, welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining us today on the second webinar Wednesday. We had a wonderful one last week. As you know, the theme for everything that we do is called Explore It All. And as I think about the wonderful industry I get a chance to work in and the different ways to explore the world, there's all kinds of ways to do that. And it's the focus of these webinars last week, this week, and next week to present to you all the various ways you can explore the world and the wonderful destinations around it. Last weekend, we looked at what you can do by ocean. Not last weekend, but last Wednesday. Today, we're looking at, again, two of my most interesting ways to explore the world, which is by river and also by rail. You know, as Americans, we probably have kind of a different view and may not be as aware of what's available to do by rail. And so today we're highlighting some of the great rail journeys around the world, as well as some of the great river companies that exist around the world. And so we have four presenters today. We're going to hear first from my wonderful friend, Jeff Caesar at Rocky Mountaineer, and he's going to talk about the amazing trips up in the Canadian Rockies. And by the way, I'm leading a group next year on the particular trip that Jeff's going to be talking about. Then we're going to hear from Greg Baxter from Waterways, one of the world leading companies in terms of river travel. And then John Hector. John is from Belmond. Belmond is the owner and operator of some of the most iconic trains in the world, but many of the Orient Express products. And finally, from our friends Matt Ogden at Riverside Cruises. Everyone has about 15 minutes. We're going to keep this tight, about 1 hour in total. We may go over 4 or 5 minutes. You'll all be getting copies of the recordings. If you do have questions, we're not going to have a formal Q&A, but you can put your questions in the chat box at the bottom. Madeline will be here to kind of pose questions along the way if necessary. So without further ado, may I introduce Jeff Caesar, who's going to tell us, and by the way, I was on this trip last summer with Jeff. Absolutely amazing journey. Jeff, over to you, Rocky Mountaineer.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeff. Thumbs up. You can hear me, correct? All good on your end? Excellent. Well, thank you all again for your time, whether you're watching this live or another time that works best for you. I truly appreciate it. Just as Jeff said, this is a true trip of a lifetime, close to home, Rocky Mountaineer. Now, what we are is a train and tour operator. We've been doing this for 34 years, privately owned. It's a luxury, fine dining, seamless travel experience where you never sleep on board. Because when you're sleeping on board, you're missing the sights, the scenery, the wildlife, the wilderness, and it'll end up being one of the most expensive naps of your life. We'll get you from point A to point B, but it's not about the speed. In fact, our average train speed is only 30 miles an hour. We slow down to less than 5 miles an hour for the bridges, the waterfalls, the wildlife, the wilderness along the way. And you definitely don't want to sleep a single minute because it's going to be breathtakingly beautiful. Now, with Rocky Mountaineer, we handle all sorts of arrangements for you to make it extremely seamless and memorable. For example, hotels. We handle from 3-star properties to 5-star properties. So you can truly work with your budget, choose what makes sense. And when it comes to 5-star hotels, some of the best properties like Fairmont's, Rimrock, Four Seasons, Sutton Place, incredible, beautiful places along the beautiful Canadian Rockies routes. When it comes to tours and sightseeing and transfers, all included with Rocky Mountaineer. Everything on the train is also all-inclusive, including alcohol, non-alcoholic beverages. And then when it comes to food, it's truly fine dining. Incredible chefs cooking made-to-order food a few feet away from where you're sitting. This is definitely a very unique experience, to say the least. What is not included is airfare, insurance, which I highly recommend, and finally, some of the meals off the train. Now, to show where we're located, looking at the Canadian Rockies, we have our routes going eastbound, westbound, or round trip. I do love starting in Vancouver. If you were to ask me, I think Jeff would probably attest the same. In fact, the group that Jeff is escorting later this season, July 17th to the 21st of 2025, will be traveling eastbound. And the reason why we like eastbound so much is when you travel that direction, the hills become mountains. The mountains become glaciers. The wildlife gets so much more amazing. And the best is yet to come. The incredible Canadian Rockies, Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff. That green dotted line you see on your screen there between Jasper, Lake Louise, and Banff is the Columbia Icefield Parkway. Been voted one of the most scenic highways in the world, riddled with lakes, waterfalls, canyons, glaciers. Definitely something not to be missed. Another big point that I want to share is that when you get to places like the Canadian Rockies, don't just do one night because you check in the evening and check out first thing in the morning. Do at least 2 nights, slow time down. Add on some tours, some sightseeing. That's what it's all about in making the most of your trip. Not trying to get into somewhere and then fly out the next day. It's slowing time down and enjoying where you are. The the times of the year we operate are mid-April to mid-October. And the train service and what it looks like on board the train is with a gold leaf train car. These are two-story bi-level coach domes, 360-degree dome windows on the top level where you sit primarily having incredible views and a full glass dome roof. So you're not missing any of the bald eagles looking down on you as you travel at such a slow pace. Downstairs, you have a full dining area. So instead of eating at your seat like most trains, you have a full dining area to experience, seats that accommodate 4 people as well as 2 people. And once again, the food has a ton of variety of options to choose from. 2 to 3 appetizer options, 5 to 6 entree options, multiple dessert options that change daily for breakfast, lunch, sometimes dinner, pending your itinerary. My favorite place to be on the Gold Leaf train is the outdoor viewing platform or the outdoor veranda space, which holds comfortably around 15 to 20 people where you can go outside and soak in the scenery that passes by at such a slow speed. You're going to have 4 hosts on board handling the commentary, talking about what's outside, what's coming up ahead. They'll be doing storytelling. They'll tell jokes and they'll keep you entertained throughout the entire experience. And staying on the topic of hosts and the service we offer on board, something you may have heard before called NPR scores or Net Promoter scores, or also GES, Guest Experience Surveys. We offer these surveys, of course, with all of our guests traveling with us, and we get a ton who fill it out. We're talking over 40% of those who travel with us have the survey filled out. We maintain very high scores, averaging around the upper 80s and lower 90s, which is pretty much giving a 10 out of 10 on every single area, from fine dining to customer service. The retention we have for a seasonal product, where we have seasonal team members that work from April to October, the retention is above 90%. And that allows us to focus not on training someone new, but adding more about storytelling, doing really more with the details of service and such. And it really has developed as such a strong, I would say, experience of what it's going to be like on board. That's going to be, pretty much best the class of service you can ever imagine. So really something to look forward to when it comes to the service we provide on board all of our trains. Now, with wildlife, get ready to see some incredible sights. You're looking for black, brown, grizzly bears, moose, elk, deer, coyotes, bighorn sheep, bald eagles. Some of the best times to see that wildlife is definitely in the springtime, but I will say something quite unique. This is a video of my own, and you can see this is right from the train. That white bear is not a polar bear. It's a once in a lifetime experience. It's the one and only white grizzly bear. And that's hanging out with just a regular grizzly bear. So very unique and different. And something you'll notice here, unlike roads and highways where you have guardrails and fences keeping wildlife off, the train tracks that we are operating on, for one, there was only like first passage to the west, which goes between Vancouver and Lake Louise and Banff, with an overnight in Kamloops. There's no other passenger train on these same train tracks that we operate on. We're the only train allowed to go through the spiral tunnels. The other trains that are operating on these tracks are carrying produce, grain, wheat, and barley. That falls all the time. So the animals you see on your screen here, think it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner time every time they hear a train on the tracks. And it can turn into a train safari, depending the time you go in the season. So a lot of wildlife to be seen, especially around the Canadian Rockies. The picture on the top right is the exact same bear as the white bear you see. That video I shared with you was from last May. The picture on the top right was from actually this past May. And that same white bear has got a little darker gray, and it has 2 bear cubs. So I guess labor and kids get you turning a little old. But I have 2 girls myself, so I can speak on that behalf. Don't have that much gray hair yet, but kind of a great little close caption of from one year to the next and having 2 beautiful bear cubs to share for it. Now, when it comes to the seasons, like I said, mid-April through mid-October, there are pluses to every time of the season. My favorite time would be literally around that mid-May to mid-June, and it's for several great reasons. One, wildlife. I already mentioned that before. There's more statistical wildlife sightings, especially the bear sightings. 70s during the day, 60s at night. I think the weather is just pristine. If you were to go before this time of the year, around the April time, you're going to get all these points except weather where there's more chances of rain. You can save usually around a couple, $1,000 to $2,000 per couple, because hotel pricing definitely does go up when it gets into the peak summer months and fall foliage September timeframe. And there's less crowds, less traffic, less congestion when you travel in the springtime around the May time frame. And the last final point, very small chance, low risk at all for wildfires. Now, the group that is traveling, that Jeff is escorting next year, is going in mid-July. You're looking at everything being lush green, everything in bloom. It's not surprising to go for a month or two without seeing a single drop of rain, but you're talking best weather, hands down. And then the fall, of course, September timeframe is all about the fall foliage with the leaves changing color. That can really light up the sides of mountains and offer incredible, beautiful vistas of color in the distance, which is gorgeous. I want to share with you some of our most popular routes so you can see exactly what an itinerary looks like. This is from pricing, so mind you, of course, everything changes. And once again, this is from meaning the lowest tiered hotels, 3-star properties. But you can see 7 nights eastbound or westbound. Once again, highly recommend going eastbound. 2 nights Lake Louise, 2 nights Banff. Even a great idea to connect to a pre or post cruise tour option. Many of you perhaps are looking at doing Alaska cruises or want to go back. Maybe you've already done Alaska itself. Think of us as that pre or post incredible enhancement to that Alaska cruise, as it would be a very memorable experience. This one right here includes an additional 2 nights, but you get to see Jasper, which is surrounded by beautiful lakes and waterfalls. The Columbia Icefield Parkway, definitely something not to be missed. And we once again include tons of touring and sightseeing as we take you from point A to point B, so you're not missing anything on the outskirts of these beautiful towns. The ultimate trip of a lifetime. If you got a little time on your side, it's the one on the left. Round trip Vancouver, 7 nights in the Canadian Rockies, 3 nights Banff, 2 nights Lake Louise, 2 nights Jasper, 5 days on the Rocky Mountaineer train, going eastbound to Banff and then coming westbound back from Jasper. The most train time, 12 nights, 13 days. This is the checkmark best of the best trip by any means, and highly recommended. If you want to see the Canadian Rockies and not miss anything, that would be the trip I would definitely encourage. We do have a promo that just started. It goes until September 6th. And so if you're watching this at a later time, please make sure you connect with the Concierge Travel team and Jeff and see what other promos are available in case September 6th has already passed. But currently for select dates in 2025, per couple, you receive up to $750 USD. And then for the US route, we do have another US route, didn't really mention here, that goes between Denver, the US Colorado Rockies, overnighting in Glenwood Springs, and into Moab, Utah, home of Arches, Canyonlands, Dead Horse Point, where Thelma and Louise went off the cliff, and then touring and sightseeing into places like Bryce and Zion and the Grand Canyon and Coral Sea Reef Park, and I can go on. And so we definitely have a whole nother route and expansion area in the US, even a little closer to home. If you're interested in that, definitely ask Jeff and his team to provide more further insight to that. But this presentation being such limited amount of time, one to focus on the best, and that is our Canadian Rockies, and the most luxurious way to do it being Gold Leaf up in the beautiful northwest side of the Canada country. Have you ever heard of a site called TripAdvisor? It's a place where people spew hate and anger and negative feedback. It's a 0.0 to 5.0 scale, and 5 being the best of the best. Note the Rocky Mountaineer has been on here since TripAdvisor's been around, and we maintain a 4.5 or higher every single season. We have more awards and accolades than the Orient Express. National Geographic has given us best train trip that takes several years in a row now. All this means to you is peace of mind. Whether you travel with us this year, next year, I do highly recommend, if you wanted to be fully escorted and go with someone who is a pro. Jeff's been on this himself. He knows it extremely well. I highly encourage you definitely reaching out to Jeff and his team and inquiring about the eastbound trip on July 17th to the 21st of 2025, as that is going to be a extremely incredible time, and you don't have to worry about anything when you're going with Jeff and the team. So that's another option. But know that we're here to make sure that your trip is a trip of a lifetime, and we'll go all about to make sure of that. So I did this all with 1 minute to spare, which I love. And I know you may have another question or two. So make sure you put those in the chat. And if you stump Jeff's team, I'm in their back pocket to be utilized. And I appreciate you all. Going to be pass this over to Greg Baxter from AMA to talk about the incredible river cruises he has. And thank you all again for the time.
Thanks, Jeff. And Greg, before you start, let me just say I did Rocky Mountaineer last summer with actually Jeff was on board. It was, I mean, I expected it to be great. I didn't expect it to be as great as it was. I like to go on these things and just kind of figure out how they work and the logistics and what the experience is like. Gold Leaf product, outstanding. I was impressed by the dome cars, the size of the seats, the comfort, the scenery everywhere you turned. The meal experience really was excellent, like fine dining. And this logistics where Jeff was kind of saying each night, you don't travel at night and you think, well, how do they get our suitcases? They pick them up and then they appear magically in your room. And then the next day they appear magically at the next place that you're going to be. It runs like clockwork. Absolutely wonderful. And let me also say, it's a great multi-gen trip. We just had a family return. They were actually a Jacksonville-based kind of Florida family, wanted to get out of the heat of the summer and took the mom and the dad and the kids, did Vancouver, then the rail, then finished up in Banff for a few nights. The kids couldn't stop speaking about it. Absolutely incredible. I'll say one more thing before I hand off to Greg Baxter. If you do want to travel with us next year, we've built the trip in such a way that you can take just the Rocky Mountaineer part, the 17th to the 21st, Vancouver and Banff. Some people are adding in an Alaska cruise on Silver Sea from Anchorage down to Vancouver. Some people are adding in another post tour with back roads, some biking or hiking trips. So we kind of left the principal piece, a Rocky Mountaineer, right in the middle, but then gave everyone the option to kind of what we'll call build your own experience. So think more broadly on something like that. We can talk it through. Thanks, Jeff Caesar. Please let me welcome my other friend, Greg Baxter. Greg is another wonderful colleague in the travel industry, representing AMA Waterways. Probably all the river cruise companies are great, but AMA has a special, wonderful place in my heart. Traveled with them many times. Greg, you can tell the story better than I can, so over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate it. And what a great presentation on Rocky Mountaineer as well. That's a great product. So thank you for having all of us vendors here. And hello to all of you. Oh my gosh, Travel Concierge guests. Thank you so much. We're going to be talking about river cruising today. River cruising is amazing. It's one of the well, I can say it has been one of the fastest growing forms of travel for so many years. So intimate, so just like 150 guests on most ships, just cruising through these beautiful areas like in Europe and the other destinations that we travel to. So thank you all for attending. Again, Jeff mentioned, my name is Greg Baxter. I'm Business Development Manager in Southern California, and happy to tell you guys all about this family-owned and operated business. These are our three owners, Rudy, Christine, and Gary Murphy. So yes, we're a debt-free company. I like that we're family owned and operated. We don't have all this red tape. We're very flexible. We come really what we are. We're the innovators in the industry when it comes to river cruising. And so many new things that start in the industry start with AMA Waterways. We've been in business for 22 years. Just celebrated that this year on July 1st. So we're very proud of that. Here's something, if you've never river cruised before, I love this. It's oceans, meaning like ocean liners take you to countries, but really it's the rivers that take you through the countries. And when I say that, what I mean is not just cruising through them, but all of the original history is on the rivers. Everyone needed fresh water. So everyone lived on the rivers. They needed the water for themselves, for agriculture, eventually for transportation. So that's why you have in Europe, for example, you have some rivers that have these amazing capital cities that are just sitting on the edges of the river because that's where they started. So if you're going to go and learn about history, the rivers, that is the place to go. This is just a great photo here. I just love it. This is Passau, Germany. And this shows you just how charming river cruising can be. There's one of our ships there. Again, holds about 160 passengers. we can just pull over and dock and let our guests just do little guided tours or just walk on your own through all of these charming cities and just hop back on. No waiting for big tenders, no waiting for people to get on and off. I mean, it's just this charming and just unique and intimate experience. So, where does Ama Waterways cruise? Well, we go to Europe. 80% of what we do is in Europe. All of the rivers in Europe, the Rhine, the Danube, all throughout France on the Seine and the Rhone and the Saône and the Garonne and the Dordogne, and Portugal. Oh my gosh, Portugal is so popular on the Douro River. So definitely talk to Jeff and his team about any of those destinations. We also do Southern Africa, so Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. And this is a varied itinerary, a little river cruise, a little land safari, flying out to Victoria Falls. And also we were talking about rail today. We have a rail portion as well on what's called Rovos rails. You can add on to your Africa adventure as well. Then we have Asia, Vietnam and Cambodia on the Mekong River, very exotic. Egypt. So Egypt on the Nile, and it's an 11-night itinerary, spending 3 nights in Cairo, getting out to see the pyramids and all of the Sphinx and all of the places you've always wanted to see, and then a 7-night cruise on top of that with one more night in Cairo on the return. So Egypt, great. Also, I said that we are innovative. No one has ever river cruised in the country of Colombia. So we will be river cruising in Colombia on the Magdalena River starting in January of next year. So please reach out to Jeff and his team if you're interested in any of these destinations. They can definitely help you. We, starting next year, will have 30 ships. So we're not a little company. That's for sure. So, and this picture here, I'm noticing this is on the Rhine. The Rhine is known for castles. You can see a castle right there. So if you're a castle lover, definitely river cruising is a great fit for you. Let's talk a little bit about the onboard experience and points of distinction, which mean things that are unique to AMA Waterways. One thing that's unique to us, the river cruise managers, they're like the host on board the ship. With any company that I know, river cruise company, the cruise manager is only on the river cruise. With us, if you book a pre-stay or you book a post-stay or both, that river cruise manager will be with you through all of those to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Once again, that's something unique to AMA Waterways. Also, Rudy, one of the 3 owners that I pointed out to you, Rudy's also an architect and designs all of our ships. I mean, he designs all of our ships. This is something that he designed right here. These are our signature double balconies. So you have a French balcony on one side and a full step out, sit down balcony on the other. So this is a category on most of our ships just below a suite. But we're starting to build ships that have all double balconies in every category as well. So something you could definitely enjoy. Also, dining, always important to everyone. We have multiple dining options. This is something very rare. So this is the main dining room you're seeing here, one of the tables. This seats the entire ship. But we also have a specialty dining restaurant. This is called the Chef's Table. It's all the way at the back of the ship. It seats about 26 guests each night, and it's 5 to 8 course fine dining with paired wines. You have a maitre d' introducing each course. You have the chef in the white hat behind the glass there cooking in front of you. This is all included. Also, we have swimming pools on board. The swimming pools are very large jacuzzis on board all of our ships, something very rare in the industry, but something for you to enjoy. So let's talk about what else is included. So I just mentioned some of those items, but all of your excursions are included. That's a big one, anywhere from 3 to 5 to 8 choices every single day. All of your alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. They're offered at different times during the day, but you have your choice. All of your entertainment. It's really, the only things not included would be gratuities, because we always say that staff should have something to strive for every week. So just your gratuities, if you went to the gift shop, of course, or if you went to the spa. We do have spas on board, and if you got a spa treatment. And lastly, if you did a little laundry. Those are the only things that aren't included. Everything else is included. Of course, you would have to get your airfare separately, but I mean, as far as your cruise experience. So we are basically almost all inclusive. I mentioned shore excursions. Yes, all of your shore excursions are included, anywhere from hikes at the top left to bike rides. We have 25 bicycles on board all of our ships in Europe, except for in Portugal. We have culinary excursions going to wineries and breweries. And on the bottom left, we have city tours. And these city tours are broken into slow walker groups, regular speed walker groups, and fast speed walkers. So you can get in the pace that you want. But once again, they are all included. We also were the first company to ever have wellness experts on board teaching yoga and stretch and cardio. This is something you can do or not do, all up to you, but it is all included. Also, I'm sure you like to stay connected, so complimentary Wi-Fi. Yes, our Wi-Fi is so strong that actually we spend more on Wi-Fi than we spend on fuel for our ships, so that will keep you very well connected. We also have an app. Our app is great to keep all of your documents on and send e-postcards and does all kinds of great things. Speaking of postcards, you can go to the front desk anytime you want on our ships, ask for as many postcards as you want, fill them out throughout the week, and then hand them back to the front desk, and we will post them and mail them for you. Just a little something extra. We did invent something called the Sip and Sail Happy Hour. So in the mornings at breakfast, we include sparkling wine to make mimosas with. At lunch and at dinner, there is unlimited fine wine and craft beer. We don't do house wines. It's always regional wines. But then we invented Sip and Sail Happy Hour. And that's the young lady on the right you see there. And that is where now, that's after you get back from your excursions. But before dinner, we have a happy hour to where now everything I mentioned, plus hard alcohol, heavy martinis and all those, that is all included. So that's something unique to us. Here's another thing that is unique to Waterways, pickleball. We have the greatest river cruise ship ever made, the Ama Magna. And Ama Magna has this amazing full regulation size pickleball court on it. So if you are a pickleball player, that is something unique to Ama Waterways. Come on Ama Magna and enjoy pickleball throughout your cruise. We also have theme sailings. If, for example, wine. We have, there's so many wine regions, especially in France, on all those rivers we're sailing in France, but we also have great wine regions up in, on the Rhine River and the Danube. So we have wine themed sailings, about 85 per year. These don't cost an extra penny. They're the same cost as any other, but yet you're going to have a wine expert on board, and you're going to be doing extra wine excursions and doing wine tastings. So talk to Jeff and his team about wine. Also, Christmas markets. Oh my gosh, these are so popular. These are from late November through Christmas in Europe. And really, they started as a celebration to the end of the harvest and looking forward to Christmas. So these markets are just so popular. So if you're looking to do a Christmas market sailing, please start early. They sell out very quickly. Also, if you're a golfer, on that amazing ship I mentioned, the Ama Magna that has the pickleball court, we also have a luxury golf program where you can play up to 5 championship courses if you do a week-long sailing and add in our Prague extension as well. If you don't add in the Prague, you can play 4 championship courses. So Jeff and his team will tell you all about that. Also, we started Soulful Experiences. These are Black History and Heritage sailings. They have been so popular. The first year we started with 1, now we're up to 4 different destinations a year with multiple sailings. So definitely talk to Jeff about that. We have a touch of our Latin touch sailings as well, which are Hispanic heritage and with Spanish-speaking cruise managers on board. And then also, we have Celebration of Music, and that is a music-themed throughout Europe, going to where all the great composers live, going to concerts. So if you love music, this is a great one for you. And then let's just quickly talk about promotions. And this is something Jeff and his team can tell you more about. But we do have for 24 and 25 in Europe, we can save up to 20% on many sailings. Also, if you'd like to have discounted air when you go on a cruise with us, we have great promotion going on for Europe, which with flat rates. This is for 24 or 25, starting at $8.99 per person round trip. This is any gateway in the U.S. So these are great flat rates. You can get premium economy for $22.99 and business for $42.99. Also, summertime, July and August in 2024 and 2025, we have some great savings for you for those months in Europe. This is Europe only, July and August. We have specific dates, but you can get $2,000 per stateroom savings, a 1 category upgrade, and some onboard credit to spend on board. I mentioned those Christmas markets. Here's same thing for 2025. This is for 24. For 2025, we've got select Christmas market dates where we can give you $2,000 savings per stateroom, a complimentary upgrade, and $100 of onboard credit. If you're military, we have $250 savings for you. That's active or retired. Also, we have some select sailing still in 2024 where we'll actually give military 2-for-1 pricing. One person pays, the other person goes free. And if you're a solo military, we're only going to charge you a tiny little 10% supplement. So talk to Jeff and his team about that. Again, if you're solo too, we're always going to have, you don't have to read any of this. Jeff and his team know we have great discounts for solo travelers on all of our sailings. So definitely talk with them about that. And I'm offering a little show special for Jeff and his team and for all of you. And what that is if you make a booking within 2 weeks of this webinar today, I'm going to give you the option of either $100 per person savings off of your cruise or $100 per person of onboard credit. That's what OBC means there. Onboard credit to spend on board the ship. You just tell Jeff and his team which of those you'd like to have. They will tell me. I will apply that for you. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions in the chat, but I hope I updated everyone very well on AMA Waterways.
Greg, that was great. Thank you for keeping timing. I was smiling all the way through this, just thinking to myself, I still have the best job in the world. I get to look at all these and go on these wonderful trips, but I get to work with just amazing people like Greg and John and Matt and Jeff that are here today. A couple of things. I've traveled with AMA a number of times. Just outstanding. I was on the Magna. I refer to it gently as a double wide, right? Because if you think about it, most river cruise ships kind of have to remain the same size because of locks and bridges and rivers. But the Magna sails on the Danube, and so it can go a little bit wider. Absolutely terrific, terrific ship. And I give A1 marks to the wine tasting on board. Every country you go through, they change up the wines. So I was on, I think Munich to Budapest or something, and we had German wines and Austrian wines and Slovakian wines and Hungarian wines and goulash tasting and all this stuff. Absolutely terrific. Greg, thank you.
Thank you.
Today, you're welcome. Today's theme, as we said, is rail and river. So we started with Jeff Caesar, Rocky Mountaineer, then Greg, now John Hector from Belmont. Absolutely one of the top luxury providers in the world, but most importantly, some of the most iconic rail journeys in the world. So John's up next, and then we'll finish with Matt Ogden from Riverside Cruises, who is another river operator inside Europe. But John, sir, thank you for coming, and over to you.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that, a little technical difficulty. Really appreciate everybody's time today. As mentioned by Jeff, my name is John Hector. I am the account director for Belmont. Sorry. All right, sorry about that. I think we're up and running now. So again, John Hector with Belmont. We have a portfolio of 45 products throughout the world, majority being hotels. We have some river cruises, but today we are going to focus on trains. Brief history on Belmont. We've been operating since the early 80s, but in 2019, we were acquired by LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, one of the most luxurious companies in the world, and we're so proud to be under their umbrella. First train we're going to start with is the Eastern and Oriental Express. This is a product that has been reimagined and relaunched just this year after a 4-year $50 million renovation, which is quite remarkable for a train product. We offer 2 3-night itineraries, which I will go through briefly with you. Throughout Malaysia, just to give you an idea, I'm sorry, it's going to have to be kind of real brief on each of these itineraries, just because of the amount of trains I'm going to be presenting with you today. Some of the accommodations that we have, when you think of Belmont, everything is about its historical significance. So when we offer these trains, it's taking you back to the golden era of train travel. You dress up formally for your evening dinners. The cabins, 3 different styles. This one you can see is bunks, which is how we traveled back in the 1920s. But because of demand, we have added larger cabins, including suites. And you can just see the attention to detail is quite remarkable. All of our trains are all inclusive, of course. And when booked through Jeff and his team, we actually extend additional amenities just out of appreciation for the partnership that we have with them. Experiences along the way, dining, of course, taking in the views, spa services. So Dior is also under the LVMH umbrella. So on our products throughout the world, you'll see more of LVMH brands implemented, such as this. The dining experience, of course. We do have a Michelin 2-star chef. And the bar cart. This is where we all like to finish up our evenings after a nice meal. Some of the activities that we have during the day, as you can see here, experiencing small towns throughout Malaysia, DJs, a lot of entertainment. Moving on now, the Venice Simplon Orient Express. This is how our company started back in the early 1980s. Our owner was a big fan of trains, and he learned that the original carriages from the Orient Express were coming up from auction, along with the original blueprints. So these are the actual carriages that were used back in the early 1900s, completely restored. There is a number of different journeys that we offer throughout the year. The most common one is going to be Paris to Venice or vice versa. Just a 23-hour experience. The energy on this train is so remarkable. While it's luxurious, this is a bucket list experience for so many. You can see the glow in everybody's face throughout the journey. We also have multiple night excursions as well. Just a few examples right here. We always have the basics, but then like for Paris to Istanbul, Istanbul to Paris, this is a unique one that we offered this year. We also did one to Portofino, where we have hotels, so we can assist with pre and post stays. Journey through the Alps. And remember, when you're going on these experiences, you're passing through like anywhere from 2 to 9 different countries. The scenery is always changing throughout. What the train offers, including suites, grand suites, and the cabins. Because of demand, we've been adding more suites to all of our trains throughout the year. So we're very excited for those additions. And again, as I said earlier, the attention to detail is just remarkable on our products. Some views there. Sweet. So how a standard itinerary would look: you arrive in the morning, you board around 8 a.m. We'll have a light breakfast available for you in your room. Then you can just enjoy the scenery or move about, to the different restaurants or bar carts. We'll have a nice lunch, and then the evening we'll have 2 set dinners. followed by the bar cart, which is where everybody loves to finish their evening. Like I said, on all of them. We have this wonderful singer. He's a Sinatra-like crooner, and he's going to stay up and sing until the last person goes to bed. Sometimes the people don't go to bed, and he stays up all night with them. It's quite the experience. And the bar cart, 3674, that was actually the cart that Agatha Christie was on when she wrote Murder on the Orient Express. The British Pullman, now this is just one of our day trains based in London, not an overnight. This is going to be more like a afternoon or evening experience going out to the countryside. It could be a formal lunch or dinner. We have murder mystery experiences. What is also great about the British Pullman is where it's located from London is 5 minutes from one of our hotels, the Cadogan, and then where it goes out into the countryside, we also have another hotel named Lavender. So we have a wonderful experience to start in the city, maybe spend a few days there, take the train out to the countryside for a few days out there, or vice versa. And then here you can see just a few of the experiences we offer. This is the murder mystery. And then some of the destinations you can visit while aboard. I don't know if you know of the director, Wes Anderson. He actually owns a home out in the countryside, and he loved our train so much, he bought a home so he could see it passing throughout the days. So because of his passion for it, we allowed him the opportunity, or he allowed us the opportunity to let him design one of the carriages based on his preferences. And you can see this is it right here. Every single thing you see is the creation of Wes Anderson. Then we go out to the Royal Scotsman. This is another beautiful historical train we offer. The itinerary is anywhere from 2 to 7 nights. So an option, you can see just small portions of Scotland, or should you choose 7 nights, as you can see on the map, nearly the entirety of it. Journeys offered throughout. There will be, you can visit castles, there's golfing available. Of course, we go Scotch tasting. Another great thing about it being part of LVMH is some of the wines and spirits that we own allows our guests to have experiences that the general public would never get to. So we're very fortunate to be in the situation that we are. Another example of bringing other maisons into the trains with the Dior Spa. We also have some with Guerlain spas. Some of the activities you can see. The accommodation, double beds. So we've added more suites this year. So that is just a brief run through on all of our trains throughout Asia and Europe. We actually have 2 additional trains in Peru. One is a day train, and then we have another overnight train, 2 nights, 3 days, going throughout the Andes. But Jeff is obviously very knowledgeable on all of these. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you. You think of the Orient Express classically as this itinerary that used to go from London to Venice and all this other stuff. Now it's Paris to Venice. What I think is wonderful about Belmond and all of their trains is in the last couple of years, they have expanded significantly. So the Orient Express, if we just speak of that train first, as John mentioned, there's all these different itineraries you can do. London, Paris, Vienna, Paris, Vienna, Paris, Istanbul, some down through the south of France, the Alps one, Portofino, Italy. So there's much more variety there. in terms of the number of choices to experience the Orient Express beyond the traditional Paris to Vienna. The Royal Scotsman, again, for those of you who are looking for a more in-depth experience of Scotland. And this day trip in and out of London with either high tea focus or the murder mystery or the wine or the country. If you're in Europe and you're looking for something really special to do for a day or two while you're in the UK, this is an excellent add-on for that. I will say this, these trains sell out years in advance. You'd be shocked now if you were to say to me, I want to do something in 2025 on one of these trains. We'll find you something, but you'll be surprised. These are once in a lifetime bucket list kinds of journeys, incredibly popular, terribly iconic. So this is not the type of thing that you would wait around in order to book. With all respect, due respect to my friends at Amtrak, right? We're not going here on the car train from Sanford to DC. This is an entirely different level and experience. So if you want to know more about Orient Express, check out Belmond, BELMOND.com. Their range of rail plus hotels makes a great combination. John, thank you very much. And we are going to finish. We're back on the river with our friend Matt Ogden. Matt is from Riverside Cruises. Matt, join us. Don't forget to unmute yourself and turn on your video so we can see you.
One step down. Next step completed.
Appreciate that. There are a number of companies that sail on the rivers throughout Europe and other parts of the world. We are highlighting two of the very best today. And Riverside. Riverside, as Matt will tell you, is kind of the reimagined Crystal Cruises, which used to have river ships. Riverside is now the owner of them, taking it to a whole different level, much more, even better than they were before. So Matt, finish us up and over to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jeff. Let me get this up for everyone so everyone can see properly. How's that coming through? Just fine?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining this presentation on Riverside Luxury Cruises. Again, my name is Matt. I'm the Director of Sales here in California for Riverside, and very excited to introduce most of you to the product of Riverside. Now, we have quite the head start because we have actually taken over the former Crystal River Cruise ships. So we have quite the leg up as a new quote unquote company, but we have the most beautiful ships out there today. So we're very excited to continue this momentum that we've built over the past year, where we're already recognized for a lot of things, including the service on board with the largest amount of space in your suites, with less people on board, and of course the food. So that's really going to be the highlight today, is talking about the food. There are so many options for you to enjoy on board, sometimes a make or break when it comes to your experience traveling all the way to Europe to experience everything that the destination has to offer, but maybe that is always going to be tied to the culinary inclusions. Now, give you a little high level of our beautiful fleet. It is a fleet that is sailing on some of the most iconic rivers out there today. And of course, these ships are gorgeous. Having just sailed on them 2 weeks ago, I am thoroughly blown away by the experience coming over from a different side of the river. I am actually my majority of my river cruise experience was with waterways. So I've sailed many of the rivers in Europe, but none like what I just did on the Riverside Debussy. And hopefully the Revel and Mozart come soon. But where do these three beautiful ships sail? And currently that is our fleet, a fleet of 3. In a few years, we will have 5. But for perspective, we have the Revel in France and sails on the Rhone and Saône rivers. And it will stay on those beautiful rivers with multiple itineraries to a gorgeous wine region throughout. The Debussy, kind of a workhorse. It sails so many different rivers. Of course, the Rhine River and its tributaries, including the Moselle into Belgium, the Main, and in different parts of the season, it does sail on the Danube. For the sake of this animation, we do have the Mozart sailing on the Danube, and that's where she will stay because of her size. So we travel to all the beautiful destinations on the most important rivers for river cruising. And there's a lot of options in between and a lot of unique itineraries to pair as well. So we can definitely dive into that. And of course, when do you want to go and where can we take you to? Of course, that is the who, but now the why. Why Riverside? What sets us apart? Why are people raving about Riverside already in just 1 year of existence? Well, a lot of things, but let's highlight a few. It is an all-inclusive experience where we're going for most everything included before you even leave Southern California or wherever you are residing. Make sure that you're not nickel and dime while you're on board. So pretty much everything is going to be taken care of for you. You have butler service to accommodate so many different requests, needs, little things, or help with laundry or getting things set up in the room on a daily basis to tailor to your needs. So that is a huge inclusion that we offer all guests as well. So every guest gets a butler. The culinary excellence, yes, we're going to talk more about that, and visuals, yay, we get to talk about food. So hopefully you're hungry. We'll get into that here shortly. Gratuities are going to be included. Now, something unique that we do is we include your gratuities on board the ship as well as for the shoreside excursions. So you do not have to be nickel and dime. It's already included. And if you want to add a little extra something for those that really excel at what they do, of course, that is appreciated, but that is at your discretion. But rest assured, they are taken care of by Riverside. And that, of course, includes all your port charges, and transfers are going to be included as well. So there's a lot there, even more that just didn't mention there with less people on board. Of course, 110 guests on average for capacity. In comparison, for, say, a premium level brand, they have about 40% more people on board for the same size ship. So less people, that's what we're going for more service. Now we have an all suite fleet. All of our suites are just that, suites. It's a 194 square feet up to 883 square feet for the owner's suite. So there's lots of options, a range of options. This is just a taste of what you may experience. And it just is dependent on how you love to travel. How much time are you going to spend in the suite? How much time do you want to be there with, well, maybe for families, they want to have parties and celebrations or be all together. So there's a range of options, up to 7 different categories to choose from. So let's find the one for you. Regardless, the wine does go nicely as you see the castle sail by your room. And yes, of course, I had to include a picture of recent travels, catching one of those castles in my Riesling glass. But let's get right into it. Riverside is now being recognized as having the best dining experience on the rivers today. So yes, let's talk about the food, because I came back 7 pounds heavier. I don't know how that was possible, but I did in just a week's time because of all the delicious food, all those unique creations. And what I learned is our executive chefs have free range on what they want to provide and create on board. So for lack of better terms, they don't really have a budget, which is amazing. So compared to, say, a premium brand, they have at least twice the amount of budget to make sure that you have the best dining experience possible in Europe. And that's exactly what we're going for. Even Forbes recognized us as having the best food on the rivers via the Riverside Revel in France. So for those foodies, definitely enjoy this next part. So the range of options, you're going to enjoy the bistro. This is right in the heart of the ship. There's going to be snacks and salads and food out throughout the entire day, but also a great way to have a little pick-me-up for coffee. There's fresh homemade ice cream readily available, and those already famous bubble waffles that you could enjoy. But this also turns into a restaurant for lunch and dinner, where you can have tapas or other treats as well. So just a couple range of options throughout the bistro. Always a good casual dining experience with a view. On the Mozart, there is a restaurant called Blue. This is a casual restaurant in the stern of the ship. You can only get to it from the outside, which is kind of cool just by design. But if you love cheeseburgers, you like salads, you like milkshakes, oh my, well, it's a great way to see the castles as they sail by. So do enjoy that. That is an included experience. And of course, a bar there ready for you as well. Our main dining restaurant is called Waterside. So this is on all of our ships, but this is always going to be a great option: breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We have breakfast and lunch options for a free range buffet, but also a la carte menu for lunch and dinner. Dinner, I should say, exclusive for an a la carte menu, but always going to be a great option. Whether you're getting a range of options based off of the destination that you're in, it's always going to change throughout the entire sailing to kind of pair to where you're traveling, but also those sweet treats at night. That is not forgotten as well. On the Vista deck, our sun deck rather, as you see a couple different things here, we turn our Vista deck into the Vista grill, not only at night for some specialty dinners. It just depends on the sailing where we're at and of course weather permitting, but we do have that as an option. You see a pop-up bar that is also unique on the Vista deck as well. Nobody really has that, and it is a beautiful set in itself. Not only at night, but midday sailing, our chefs will plate every single meal for a barbecue, a midday, or even the likes of surf and turf, lobster, steak, prawns, fresh caught, just kidding, not in the rivers, but they have those beautiful green eggs to make this all happen. So this is quite the opportunity and one of the best experiences as well. So the Vista deck, definitely enjoy it all times of the day, but it does turn into its own restaurant as well. And I know on our recent sailing, we had our dinner outside and a beautiful violinist that was playing for our own private concert outside. It was quite lovely. An experience for you. This is one of a kind, and it is not to be missed. For fans of fine dining, for fans of unique experiences, maybe fans of the show Chef's Table, this is something that will put in perspective, and this is called the Vintage Room. This is an additional cost included for this. For those that want to enjoy a 7-course menu paired with fine wines and the likes, this is up to 12 guests on the Mozart and 10 guests on the Ravel and the Debussy, but it is exceptional. It was by far one of the best meals I've ever had. Our executive chef has prepared a meal that's tied to his own life story. So if you can imagine every single course coming out and being served in coordination at the same time to all, and then in between every single course, the chef gave a story that was so moving that I was actually moved to tears by course number 2. So if you could beat that, be my guest. And of course, including one of those beautiful courses that we enjoyed. This is a personal picture I want to include. And the presentation is just fantastic throughout. And of course, paired with those lovely wines, and the first of the dessert wines that I've ever liked in my life. I never liked the dessert wine until I got on board the Debussy. So, hey, maybe you'll have those surprises and delights yourself. But the Vintage Room on the Mozart, the Ravel, and the Debussy will all be an amazing experience. When all of those restaurants are open, you also have the option to talk to your butler and have in-suite dining as well. So this is always going to be an option for you when the restaurants are open. You have those options, but there's also an in-suite menu for your liking, especially during breakfast. You want to wake up to having something in your suite, and maybe a good perspective to see all those windows that they do turn into their own balconies, so we don't take away from the suite size, and you have more space to enjoy, including all those walk-in closets, which are quite nice as well. So good perspective, but always good options. Get to know the Palm Court because this is where all the entertainment happens, but by default kind of turned into its own culinary inclusion because there's so many snacks and drinks that are to be enjoyed here. Of course, we have different entertainment throughout the night, but maybe mixology classes, maybe pizza making classes. This is evolving. 3 or 4 times the executive chef came out with his team with surprise snacks and drinks that were concocted right there, and they're just trying new things. So that's something we want to go for. It's not kind of cookie cutter, but it's something unique every single day. So there's even fresh popcorn at the door to kind of pair, and more snacks throughout. So by default, it's an enjoyable space, and you'll see all the sunlight that really peers into this lounge area that is unlike any other ship out there today. Now, the culinary experience does not only stay on our ships. It is shoreside, so I don't want to ruin any surprises, but we do have itineraries that pair a culinary experience with a private event shoreside too. So maybe that's at a private winery where we have dinner just for Riverside guests as well. So not to ruin any more surprises, but that is something that is being built as well. Now, how do you burn off those calories? Of course, we have gyms on our ships, and we have bikes, and we have both regular and e-bikes for you to enjoy and take out on your own. So you have the option, not extra, take them out, enjoy your own way. The Mozart has both a pool and a hot tub on board. For the other two ships, they just have the indoor pool, but the key is indoor. So you can have that 24/7. For other ships, they have to be, or if they're on the sun deck, rather, if they're going through locks or going through certain areas, they're closed, maybe sometimes up to half the itinerary. So this is a huge advantage to have it indoor as well. Of course, take advantage of the spa and the beautiful luxury products that you'll find in your suites as well. So just make mention of that. Now, as we wrap up here, shore excursions are all included for your all-inclusive package, of course, but the couple unique tidbits I want to point out, one of which with that giant arrow. If you want to experience something private, you want to customize excursion, we have the capability to do so. So just let us know how you want to enjoy a destination, and we can build something for you and those traveling with you. And I also threw in a picture of our Riverside coaches because they're brand new, and we have a coach that follows all of our ships wherever they go. So that is a huge opportunity to enjoy with transportation included everywhere you go. Now, this is the biggest thing. Just 2 more slides here. I'm almost at time, but this is a big one. For Riverside, as we get started in the industry, we have a huge opportunity for 24 and 2025 with no single supplements. So those entry-level suites, a minimum of 194 square feet, 215 on the Mozart. That is your entry-level size for solo travelers. And of course, that's pending availability, but we have plenty for you. So let's help get you on. Now, there's a lot kind of covered there. Don't worry, this is only one step in the learning process of Riverside. I have provided a couple videos for you to learn more about dining and, of course, what Riverside is known for via video. If you want to reference back, definitely talk to Jeff and he'll provide that for you. But I thank you for the time and the opportunity to help you learn more about Riverside, and can't wait to sail with you. Come soon.
Thank you, Matt.
That was terrific. And having looked at all of the restaurants and the food, I wanted to say only 7 pounds. I mean, come on. But I was glad you had the bikes and, kind of point that out. As we bring this to a close, 2 other things I just wanted to say. I hope everyone, when you were looking at both Greg's presentation from Amma and Matt, that you got this sense of what a river trip is like. You never lose sight of land. I love ocean cruising, and as Greg kind of led off, it takes you to a destination. Rivers take you through it. And just think about the outdoor dining that Matt referenced on his trip as he was meandering up or down the river. I don't know which direction he went. Castles and vineyards and villages and towns and life. It's just an amazing experience to embrace the land and the territory like that. And whenever you dock, you're right downtown, I want to say. You just get off and you're right in the middle of it. There's no Tinder you have to get on in order to get into the town or anything. So river cruising needs to be part of everybody's life at some point, and there's great rivers to choose from. Finally, I just want to say we have a group traveling on the WC. It's May 14th to 21. 2025. It's being led by one of the travel concierge team. Her name is Kathy Myers. It goes from Amsterdam and it's going to go down to Dusseldorf. So if you'd like to travel with us in 2025, please do so. We're going to finish everything up. This has all been recorded. Madeline is going to be sending out a link to the recording for those of you who participated today. And for those of you who are watching it, not today, on Wednesday, we hope you've enjoyed this. Please reach out to me or a member of my team, Jeff at jefflavender.com, phone number, but I think it's easiest, Jeff at jefflavender.com, about any of these trips. And once again, we're here to help you explore it all. Thanks, everybody, for your participation today. We appreciate it. Take care. Thanks, Madeline. We can conclude it now. Okay. Bye-bye.